All right, everybody, welcome back to this episode of the CSU Global Student Success Podcast. As always, I'm your host, Alex Chace. In today's episode, we're diving into a topic that every student needs in their toolkit, and that is self-advocacy. To help me with this, we have a special guest joining us. Her name is Jessica Talbott. She is one of our senior success counselors here at CSU Global and the creator of one of our newest student resources, the Self-Advocacy Guide. She's going to kind of walk us through what this guide is, how it can help you guys as students unlock a new level of success. So let's go ahead and just dive right in. Jessica, thank you so much for coming on the show. And to kind of get us kicked off, can you introduce yourself to our audience? Give us a little bit about yourself and where you're from and what you do with us at CSU Global.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Of course.
So I am Jessica Talbott, like you said, a senior student success counselor. I have been in higher ed for about 15 years. I've been at CSU Global for 6 as of yesterday. So happy
wow, congrats.
Work anniversary to me. Yeah, it's flown
That's
by.
Amazing. Wow.
But yeah, I work directly with students in a couple different programs right now. Our teaching and learning program, marketing, human services, and our new legal studies program. Currently live in the South, have lived here my whole life. And what brought on this is my husband actually recently became a student. So seeing his challenges and also tying that in with what I hear from students, I really wanted to create something to give students a place to start and let them know what they have access to. So yeah, it's a little bit about me.
That's amazing. And that was actually going to be my first question, is really what sparked the innovation of this guide. Because, for us in higher education, we can throw words like self-advocacy, and me and you know what we're talking about.
Yeah.
But we want to make sure our audience is fully aware. So do me a favor and tell our audience, what exactly self-advocacy is and what it was about, the experience you saw your husband going through as an online student that has led you to create this resource guide for our students.
So I would see him have challenges throughout the week, and then he would actually have weekly calls with kind of his version of a student success counselor. And, I sometimes I'd overhear him say, yeah, everything's going great. And I'm going behind the scenes. I've seen, what his week looked like and where he had struggled. And it kind of got me thinking, like, how many students are struggling.
Yeah.
Maybe they're still getting A's. They're still doing well on their courses. It doesn't mean that they're failing, but they're spending a lot of time on something that maybe I know of a resource that could help. So it really got me just thinking about what our students are struggling with. And at the end of the day, self-advocacy is, yourself, your situation, your classes better than anybody. So it's speaking up for what you need in the situation and then bringing other people along to support you.
I love that so much, just for so many different reasons, because I think it's something that can resonate with a lot of our listeners, is that, like, even, school or life in general, it's easy to just say, yeah, everything's fine. And, like, to your point, success is defined in a lot of different ways. It's not always just your grades. Like, it's okay to not be okay, and it's okay to ask for help. And, to be vulnerable can be difficult, but when you are, it can really help, like we've talked about, unlocking a new level of success. Because ultimately, here at CSU Global, everything that we do is to provide you guys, the students, the best, experience possible. We want you to be successful. We want you to get the career that you are hoping to transition to, or to level up the current one that you're in right now. So, like Jessica said, it all starts with that self-reflection and self-identification. So give us a rundown about what this guide is. I know when reviewing the document, it's called the GOLDIE approach. So give us a breakdown of the acronym, and what you're hoping our students will learn from this resource guide.
Yeah. So we just really took some really key parts of being a strong self-advocate and had to use our mascot as inspiration. So GOLDIE stands for growth, ownership, locate, direct communication, inquire, and engage. So, we can walk through each of those really quickly. But the idea is that when you put all of those together, like you said, you can have a really strong experience here at CSU Global. And I think this all translates outside of school as well. Think about being at a restaurant and ordering something without a sauce and it comes with the sauce. You're going to speak up. You're going to say, hey, I don't want this sauce, or I don't need it, or I'm allergic. You're not just going to eat it if that's not something that you want. If you're at a job and you can't start the date they give you because you're going to be out of the country, you can't start. You have to speak up. You have to say something. And so it's the same practice, just in an educational setting, but it can apply to so many different areas of your life. So if we're looking at growth, first one, really just being reflective and saying, where do I not know everything I need to know? Because we don't expect students to have all of the answers and to know everything. So what this looks like is, maybe you don't love math, but instead of looking at a math class and saying, that is going to be my worst term, I don't even know if I'm going to pass, this is going to be terrible, saying, I'm going to set up a meeting with my success counselor before this class, and I'm going to understand every resource I have possible. I'm going to set up weekly tutoring. I don't even know if I need it yet, but I'm going to set it up so that I'm not struggling midweek and I don't know where to reach out. So having that growth mindset is a great place to start. The next piece is ownership. And so that just means, what do I have to take responsibility for in this journey? So here at CSU Global, things like regularly checking your emails, your texts, your Canvas messages. Our instructors post weekly announcements that usually have tips and examples and things to help proactively handle any challenges. And so I think students with really strong self-advocacy regularly check those things, and not only just check the box, but really read them. So often I hear students say, well, I got that email, but I thought it was a mistake. I can speak for our entire team when I say, we would rather you reach out and say, I don't think I should have gotten this. Do I really have a balance? Am I really not registered? Than to just assume and then get dropped from their classes or have something happen that we can't turn around. So next one is locate. So this is about locating your support. You have a ton of support here. And so when you have that growth mindset and you kind of identify, where do I need support? Where can I grow? Then working with your success counselor or any of the support team that you have, financial aid, tutoring, writing center, our career center, your instructors, which we'll talk about a ton later, really identifying this support list. I have a couple of students who have showed me their almost like a contact log for CSU Global with the names, numbers, links for everyone they need, so that when you are in a crisis, when something happens, you know exactly who to reach out to. And I think that can be really helpful. Last couple ones, direct communication is the D. We'll talk about this more because we have a communication template as part of this guide. Mm-hmm. But direct communication, especially in online learning, is extremely important. We've all received the really long voicemails from our friends, and you have no idea what they're actually saying or what they're asking. And so this is where we clearly identify what we need. We eliminate the guesswork. We hopefully work towards a really quick resolution by identifying your ideal outcome, being really specific with your question. This is a huge piece. And I think if you take away anything from this, it's how can I improve my direct communication? Because it is a game changer. Last two, Inquire. So this is, kind of encouraging students to be proactive. Don't just wait for something to happen. So maybe after every course ends, go and check your degree plan. Did it show up correctly? I have had students reach out years after a class ends to say, oh, that grade wasn't correct. And they were right. Mistakes happen. But if you're checking that regularly, then we're able to make sure everything is posted correctly, change something if we need to. It's a lot easier kind of in real time. So, check your financing. Don't just assume financial aid's coming. There are lots of locations and lots of people you can reach out to check that's going on. And then the last one is engage. We've kind of mentioned a couple of examples, but they all involve action, asking a question, sending an email, making a list. And so we have to engage with your instructors, with your peers, with the support network that you build. It's easy in an online environment to not do that, to just kind of stick to yourself and try to do everything on your own. But I think a student with strong self-advocacy utilizes the resources they have available. So that's the Goldie approach that we hope all students take.
Yeah, no, and I think the way you tie it all together with our amazing mascot Goldie is just an easy way for our students to remember and also very helpful. The one thing that really when hearing you explain it that way just really sits with me well is just how all of these skills are transferable beyond just the classroom.
Yeah.
For our returning listeners, this is a consistent and reoccurring theme with us at CSU Global is that we're not here to just be a check off the box to get a degree. We want you to truly learn and understand the work so that way day one on the job, you're ready to roll and make an impact. And so all of it ties together, right? And so being a self-advocate in your education will then allow you to be a self-advocate in your employment. And so I think if you take the steps that Jess has provided us here and really dig in with each one of them, you will find a takeaway that will help you, personally and professionally, and my team hears it from me as, a manager of success counselors in a remote environment that your direct and implicit communication is probably your most important skill set as an employee, particularly here with us at CSU Global, but really everywhere now in a day and age where email is primary communication, texting and all that. I mean, we've all been there where like you get a text message from either a significant other or a friend and you're like, wait a minute. Like, what are they saying? Are they mad at me? Like, what did I do? Like, what's that okay with a question mark mean? What I'm saying? Like,
exactly.
So being able to pause, reflect, think about what that communication style is and, what we're really trying to get accomplished, it will certainly help a lot of our students along the way. So,
yeah. And I think, if you think about this as a safe place to enhance those skills. So
sure.
I would much rather a student, maybe have a mix up in communication with me or with an instructor than with your boss. So this is where you try different things, you try a different tactic, you see, how to do an email versus a phone call. This is where you explore so that when you do go to that first day on the job, or a lot of our students are already in jobs,
in the job,
how do you make that relationship better? How do you prepare yourself for a higher role? This is the place to explore that, and not on the job. So
no, that's a great point because we would hope even that something that you learn in this type of social interaction with your instructor is directly applicable with the coworker tomorrow or your boss or your supervisor. So like you said, very tangible skills that kind of fly under the radar, when you're in any program, whether it be computers or legal or whatever. There's more beyond just the textbook that we're trying to teach you. And this is a big part of that. So we will absolutely link the guide to this video so you guys can check it out. But one of the things that, you mentioned a lot through all of the different spots of the acronym was, taking the action, for our students. So like I said, using the scenario of, the late night panic, oh my gosh, this is what's happening. Give us some best practices as far as like when a student should identify now's the time I need to reach out and start self-advocating.
Yeah. So I think a best practice is always reach out within 24 hours of a question or an issue. I hear a lot from students. I was going to reach out, but I didn't think it was that big of a deal. So I didn't. And now it's a huge deal. Well, at the time, we might have had a really easy or quick solution. So I think 24 hours is a really great timeline to give yourself. If you are Thursday night, this link doesn't work, don't just hope it's going to work tomorrow. Find technical support, try to get it resolved right then. But if you can't, email your instructor, email your success counselor, take the action then so that we can be working on it. I'm on the East Coast. I actually come to work pretty early for our Mountain Time students. So I'm sometimes able to get to a resolution before they're even awake. And I think that is the case a lot of times. So reach out within 24 hours. Another really great best practice is document your experience. I think sometimes I hear, well, I was doing this, it's not anymore. And if I can have a screenshot or just a really clear picture of what was happening, I can try and help. So try to document exactly what you were doing. What did you try to do to fix it? These are all things that I'm probably going to ask for when you reach out anyway. So if you already have that information, we're just getting to a resolution faster. I think a really big best practice is it's easy to forget there is a person on the other side of that email,
Yes.
that phone call, that text. So you might be really frustrated, the link's not working. You might be really frustrated about the grade that you just received. That is a person. So even in your frustration, and it might be okay to take a moment, take an hour, step away. But when you come back, there's a person. And so, respond to them or reach out to them like you would want someone to reach out to you. And then I think another really great best practice is don't just share the bad. I think it's easy to only reach out to an instructor or a success counselor or financial aid when things are bad or there's a problem. And we want you to reach out during those times, but please share your highs too. If an instructor explains something in a really great way, give them that feedback. If your financial aid advisor helped you navigate a really tricky problem, let them know. That feedback helps us, both positive and negative feedback helps. And I think it helps just remind you of the good within your experience. So, maybe I've had a couple tough classes, but I'm also going to remind myself of the really great instructors, the really great classes, the great content that I've learned. So, I think that can be really great for both sides, for us, but also for you advocating to have a better experience, but share when your experience is already great.
For sure. Oh man, there's so many great takeaways there. The one thing that I really love is when you say like priming your environment, right? To when you are going through a technical issue or whatever, and you're going to need that help from your success counselor, try to get your ducks in a row to where when you are reaching out, it's reaching out for a resolution as opposed to a back and forth to get to where we, like you said, I'm going to ask for a screenshot or what have you. So that's just a great best practice in life, in our work. If we have a technical issue, if I try to pull a report and it's not going to work, I have to go to my help desk and submit a help request ticket. But in that ticket, I'm going to have to explain what I've tried already, what resolution I'm looking for, and provide a screenshot of the error that I'm getting. So if you can think about your any type of technical issue or what have you in that same manner, try to take that work skill and use it in a safer environment where we can teach you along the way. This is a great opportunity to do that. But another great thing that you said is, yes, we are all humans, and that applies here in any other type of situation where you would have to call and, talk to somebody on the phone for whether it's your internet company or your phone provider or what have you, us as representatives in these type of positions where we're here to help people, it's hard for us to do that if we're, getting yelled at, so to speak. And it's not because we don't like getting yelled at. I mean, I don't think anyone likes to be yelled at, but that's not it. It's more of like our whole objective is to identify your issue and then bring it to a resolution. And the easiest way to do that is with a clear head, with open communication between two professionals who are really just trying to get an issue resolved. And I think if we can try to remember to approach everything like that, things would be a lot nicer for everybody. But like you said, this is a very emotional thing for a lot of people. Your grades are important. No one's diminishing that. But a part of the college experience is really working through those type of interactions. Because, in the workforce or even in your personal life, you're not going to get along with everybody. You're not going to want to like the way a certain person works or what have you, but you have to find ways to come to a common ground and move forward. And I promise you that your success counselor would much rather be your best friend and hear only emails about the wins that you're having. But we are, of course, always here to help you resolve your issues. But definitely reinforce those habits when you see them. When you see great work, we want to hear that feedback because, your mind leads your actions. So if you're thinking more about the positives, the better experiences that you have, those will shine brighter through than the negatives that when you go back to reflect. So I think those are all great things for our students to think about when navigating this ridiculously fast 8-week sprint. But because
Yeah.
of that, it allows us to get you guys to that goal even faster. And we have every resource along the way to help you get there. So yeah, as far as, students, when they go to reach out with their instructors, I know there's a lot of like anxiety possibly around that, not sure what to say, when to say, how to say it. So I know as a part of the GOLDIE framework, you did build out some templates. So can you kind of speak to that and how our students can utilize that as a resource?
Yeah. So I think we want to solve problems for students, and we want to do it as quickly as possible. And one way that a student can really help themselves get a quick resolution is to just provide a ton of information that we need to help. So really great example, identify yourself. Don't use a nickname, use your full name, use your CSU Global email address, which I know sometimes you're on your phone and maybe that's where your personal email, but if you email an instructor from, World Cup fan 2017, we have no idea who you are.
Right.
Use the subject line really strategically. So a lot of our instructors teach multiple sections. If you say week 6 question, they might get to that email before they get to a week 8 question email because they know we're in week 6 right now. Again, there's a human on the other side. So say hi. How are you doing? Just this pleasantries are nice and a great way to start off. If you were going to be in person and walk into a person's office, you wouldn't just start off asking the question. You'd, greet them.
That's such a good point. Yeah.
Treat the email the same way. And then just be really clear about the reason for your outreach. So a really common one. I have a question about my grade. Let them know I am in your Marketing 310 Section 1 class for Fall B. I have a question about the week 6 assignment. You specifically mentioned that I used 3 resources, but the rubric only asks for 2. That is a very clear question versus I don't agree with my grade. Which grade? Which class? What don't you agree with? Like the instructor is going to reach out to ask all these clarifying questions before they can even start getting a resolution. I think bullets can be great. If you have a lot of questions, use bullets in your email. And then make sure you mention what your desired outcome is. Is this just feedback for the instructor? Or do you want to have a review of the grade? Do you want to set up a phone call with the instructor? And then same things. If you were in person, you wouldn't just walk out. You'd say, thanks for your time. Right. I'm really enjoying the class so far. Just want to make sure I'm following the rubric correctly. Like express some final thoughts. And again, we have that template that you can kind of follow in the guide so that you can use it and hopefully get really quick resolutions. I had a student this past weekend reached out on Friday, had a concern about a grade. By the time I came in Monday, had already resolved it with the instructor. So I was gone the whole time. But because they applied some of these things, they reached out with really clear questions. The instructor got back to them immediately and it was resolved. They didn't even need me. I would have been happy to help, but this is where self-advocacy really can come in because you can solve sometimes your own problems by working with your instructors and all of your support team.
No, that's such good advice. And, I love the example of like thinking about it in like a in-person, scenario. Like, if you're going to walk into someone's office, you're right. You would say, hey, how's it going? You wouldn't just, it's like that meme of Big Bird when he kicks open the door. It's just like, boom. It's not like you would just be like, hello, like I'm
exactly.
here. So try to treat these moments, like we've said, as learning experiences, because you certainly would not do that in a professional situation when you're reaching out to your supervisor to ask about, the expectation of the project that's due on Friday. I think that email would probably have, hey, boss, and hope you're well. So try to think of things in that light, because like we always say, is there always a recurring theme, like we are all here to truly help. And all you got to do is reach out and ask for it. Is to be proactive instead of reactive.
Exactly.
So those are such great tips and I appreciate you sharing them. When you look at, the acronym GOLDIE, and then also as far as, taking these actions with the advice that we give, locate, being one of the major points. So where would our student go to begin this process of like, okay, I want to start reaching out to speak? Where should we be directing them to find that information?
Yeah. So I think if you look at it first as creating a support team, let's start with the access that you have the whole time that you're here. So in your student portal, left-hand side, you're going to see your success counselor's information. Under that, you're going to see financial aid. And then I think under those things, you're also going to see links to other support team members. So that's like tutoring, writing center, library. We have librarians that will meet with you to help, answer questions. So really just kind of building this, who do I have access to as a support team? And again, those are people in offices that you have access to the entire time that you're here. Then if we're looking specifically at classes, your instructor at the beginning of every single term is going to post information, not only about them, but how to contact them, email, phone number, do they do text messages, when are their office hours? So those are things that you want to kind of pull out. And if you have this one document where you're keeping everything, have it available on your screen, a sticky note or something on your desk, so that you're working on a problem and you have a question, you look over and you realize, oh, it's their office hours right now. I have their number right here. I'm going to try to give them a call. That saves you 5 minutes of trying to find their number and figure out how to set that up. And then I think even outside the classroom, we all need support to reach our goals. So speaking to the people in your life, your family, hey, I need this hour. I'm going to use this area as my study space. Let's protect it. Making sure that you have that support team that can protect your time, whether that's your job, your family, friends. It takes a village truly to do online school. So we focused a lot on the CSU Global side, but you also have support in your life. So making sure they're on board and that they know what you need. And the only way they're going to know is for you to communicate with them and advocate for yourself.
No, I completely agree with you. And it's kind of like what I said earlier, it can be challenging to be vulnerable and to ask for help. And, just know that when it comes to your academic studies and your journey here with us at CSU Global, no question is a bad question. We are truly here to support you through this process to make it not only as easy, but more so enjoyable for you, and to where the learning outcomes meet your expectation, and that, at the end of the day, we're continuing to march towards that finish line of walking across the stage at graduation. Yeah. So I sincerely appreciate not only you coming onto the show to kind of give us a rundown of the resource, but creating it, of course, for our students. We are, for our listeners, are still in the active process of getting it, put onto the website and the portal and all that stuff. So more to come as far as like where you can find this direct resource information. But in the meantime, we will link some stuff below in the description so you can find it. But, like Jessica has been saying through this whole time, use your strength of GOLDIE to reach out and support your own success through self-advocacy while you're here with us. And we are just a phone call or a text message away. Before I have you go, though, I would love to ask you, as someone who has been a, student success counselor here with us at Global for 6 years, which is amazing. Congrats again on that anniversary. You've seen hundreds, if not thousands of students, come through our doors and then reach graduation. So there was one thing that you would like to have every student who starts with us at Global know, like on their first day, what would that be?
Ooh, that is a good question. This is going to sound kind of cheesy, which is right on brand for me, I think. But I think you belong here right now. Yes. Is what I would want students to know, because I talk to so many students, especially in that first call, that say, should have done this 20 years ago, or I, didn't go to school right out of high school, or I did, and, had an experience that I didn't want, or whatever the case is, or I'm too old to be here. I don't know what I want to do. Just all of these reasons that are almost before they even get started, they're convincing themselves they shouldn't be here.
Right.
And there's a reason, or they don't bring any value. And I think every student has a story and can bring a lot. It's one of the things I love. Our classes have so much discussion because no matter where you are in life, you have something to share. And, you never know how another classmate is going to respond or be inspired or be encouraged or learn from what you have been through. So I think you might wish you would have done this earlier, or you might see benefits to have doing it earlier or doing it later, but you are here right now,
Right.
And you belong here right now. And I think that once you can kind of get over that hump and realize there's a benefit to me doing it at this time in my life, you can kind of move forward and really enjoy it and see the value that you bring to the classes. You're going to get a lot out of them, but I think that students can put a lot into them as well.
Man, well, for coming up with that right on the spot, that was lovely. I got goosebumps thinking about that because it's so true. Like it doesn't matter what happened in the past as far as why you took so long or whether even if you are right out of school from high school, whatever, it doesn't matter. What matters is that you're here, that you're here to improve yourself and your family, your community by advancing your education, which will just go so far beyond just the matter of getting a job. Like we talked about through this whole episode. I mean, one of our primary drivers, particularly for anyone who's sat in the seat as a success counselor and advisor, is to help people reach their goals and to help them learn some things along the way that can make, all their interactions better, personally and professionally. So it's like, we're not just here to slam, higher education knowledge down your throat. We want you to really engage with your classmates in the discussion boards. And another great plug for the connectiveness that you're mentioning is our new CSU Global, the Global Commons, which is our online community space for students that just launched. You guys can find it in your Canvas right there on your coursework, or we have a phone app and or just like a direct link, but it's really the Facebook of CSU Global, so to speak. So, if you don't feel quite comfortable reaching out in the discussion board because your instructor's there and that's very much your formal, professional academic side, please pop over to the Commons and start mingling with your classmates. Learn more about what it's like to be an online student, because I promise you are not alone. I know we all can feel very siloed in this online environment. I mean, we're all reporting in from different places across the world to do the same thing. But if we can't have a student union building on campus, we certainly can have a virtual student union building through the CSU Global Commons. So like Jessica said, just use that as an opportunity to connect, to grow, and make some friends along the way. But again, Jessica, I just sincerely appreciate your insight, for our students to get to hear directly from, one of our boots on the ground, frontline workers who gets to work with our students every day. And, it's people like yourself and your coworkers that really help our university thrive. So I'm sincerely appreciate you cutting some time out to be on the show. And like we've talked about, just anytime things come up, just let's take a moment, let's pause, let's go through our GOLDIE acronym and grow, take some ownership, locate those resources, inquire with direct communication, inquire and engage. So when in doubt, just check GOLDIE out. She will be there. She will be there to help you. And like I said, we'll get it posted, hopefully in the portal and all that stuff like that, to where you guys can have it. But every success counselor is equipped with this information. So if you want to know more about the GOLDIE acronym, you can reach out to Jessica directly if you'd like, or your success counselor, and we can kind of set up a great coaching conversation, because you don't have to navigate your degree alone. Well, that wraps up today's episode of the CSU Global Student Success Podcast. Special thanks to Jessica for walking us through her GOLDIE framework today. If you found this episode helpful, please be sure to like and subscribe in this video. Pop a comment down below. Leave us a review. Share it in the Global Commons or with anyone that that you think that this might be a helpful resource for. But we do truly appreciate you stopping by. Again, I'm Alex Chace. Thank you so much, and we'll catch you on the next episode of the CSU Global Student Success Podcast.